Hi everyone, welcome to DT's Premiere where technical drawing is made simple. Please like, share, subscribe, and hit that notification bell to support the channel and help reach more students. Let's begin. Now we are going to learn how to construct a perpendicular at a point P outside a line. So the point P is no longer on the line, it's going to be on the outside of the line. All right, pay attention to the keywords. So when you get your tests, your exams, your class activities, you know exactly what the question is asking for, and therefore you know which method to use. All right, so first we're going to draw a 5 centimeter line. Bear in mind your line is not always going to be 5 centimeter. I'm just using it for our tutorials. So draw a 5 centimeter line. All right, label your line A, B. Notice my A and B are not touching my line. Then now you're going to establish a point P, and this point is going to be outside the line. So it's no longer on the line. So it can be at the top or it can be at the bottom. All right. If the question asks for it at the bottom, put it at the bottom. If the question asks for it at the top, you can put it at the top. If the question does not say, it's up to you to make a decision where you want to put your point. I'm putting it at the top. And as usual, I'm estimating half and I'm not putting it at half. Slightly closer to B. You can put it slightly closer to A. That is up to you if you want to challenge yourself. Next thing we need to do is to label the point, and this point is going to be called P. Then we're going to grab our compass, all right? And we're going to place our compass at P. Using the same method that we did before, I'm using the shorter side because notice the distance from P here going to be is shorter than from P to A. If I had used A to scribe my arc, when I use A, it's going to go past B and we do not want that. All right. So I'm going to set up my compass at A, ensuring that my point is touching the line. Then I'm going to do what I call a swing test. All right, when you do your swing test, it's not supposed to mark on the paper, but mine is marking on the paper because that's how this thing works. All right, let me see if I can try without marking. Let me do my swing test properly. So I'm swinging, all right, to see if it's touching my line at two different points. It is. So let me go ahead. And notice I start from slightly above the line, going slightly above the other side as well. Once we're done with that, just like before, we will have two new points. All right, this is point 1 and 2, and we need to name those points. So I'm going to call these points C and D. Then now you're going to get your compass again. Place your point at C. Ensure that whatever space is between C and D, you're opening slightly past half that space, just to ensure that when you swing your arc, it's not going to be too short. Then you scribe your first arc, place your point at D, and you're going to scribe to cut it. Once you cut it, this is your new point, and you're just going to simply take your ruler, fix the orientation, ensure that it's aligned properly. Once it's properly aligned, you're going to draw a line from point P to the intersection. Let me fix that up a bit. Slightly off. There we go. All right. Now it says perpendicular. It's not going to be a bisector, meaning you're cutting the line in half. So the parts that should be dark will be AB. And I want you to pay close attention to this part. All right. So you don't mess up. Parts that are going to be dark are AB and E to the point where it cuts the line. So you're not going to go all the way down. You're stopping right there. So the horizontal line is here and the vertical line is resting on top of it. That is how you get your perpendicular. This part is just excess. This part was just for you to have a straight line. All right. That's it for this video. And as usual, if your line is given and it is vertical, you're going to use the exact same method to construct it on the other side. So you'd have your line, you get your point P outside of the line. Whether you want to put it at the front or at the back, if the question asks for it to be placed at a specific position, you do so. If not, you just place your point and go ahead and, all right. And then you get your compass, you do your swing test. All right, so you'd have something looking like this. Having your AB, that's if they give you a vertical line. So you know, so down here, so now going to have your compass swings and then going to draw your line through. And then as usual, you'll darken the important line. All right. As I said before, from you understand the concept, you'll know what to do. All right. Just like that. All right. That's it for this video. Have a good one.